Hey, you guys. How are you today? Deborah Kagan here for your Mojo Moment. And my desk is making a little noise. Cheers. Drinking my iced yerba mate latte for any of you who are interested. But because summer has officially hit at this point of this live video in this part of Los Angeles. So it's iced latte time. Tea latte time over here. But in any case, we're not here to talk about tea lattes unless you want to give me your best tips for your tea lattes, how you do it. We are here to talk about your mojo moment of the day, which of course is a bit of information, inspiration, tips, and tools so that you can have the most of your mojo the majority of the time. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really so good today. And I gotta tell you, last night I went to a spectacular event, which has inspired today's Mojo Moment. And it was an evening with Eve Ensler, and she was in conversation with Idina, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Idina Menzel, the fabulous actress and singer, the voice of the song, from Frozen. And of course, Eve Ensler, she's just my shiro, right? She wrote the Vagina Monologues, among many things. And she is the creator and founder of V-Day, which is a global campaign to end violence against women and girls. It happens to be I support two organizations. I support more. However, the two main organizations I support actively for decades now are V-Day and then Peace Over Violence, right? So Eve was in conversation with Idina Menzel last night for Eve's latest book. It's called The Apology. And if you have not heard about it, now you're hearing about it. And if you don't have it, pick it up. It's a really, it's a shorter read, and it is packed. It's just super packed. And so it's a fantastic, it really is. It's intense. It's fantastic. And if you know Eve, if you've read anything else of Eve's, you know that she goes deep. And she said something last night that I think was so perfect, which is, it's about going through the portal. Well, let me backtrack. Her book, The Apology, she wrote from the voice of her father. Now, for those of you that don't know Eve, yes, she wrote the Vagina Monologues, but she was horribly, horribly abused from the age of 5 all the way through 18. And sexually abused, physically abused to the point of almost being murdered twice, and emotionally, psychologically abused by her father. And she waited for, years and just thought, someday there'll be an apology. Like, he's going to say he's sorry one day. And he died 31 years ago, and there, was no apology. And ultimately, she said it was a year ago that she got very clear it was time for her to write this apology in the voice of her father to herself. So to get the apology that she'd always wanted. And that's what this book, The Apology, is. I read it a couple weeks ago, actually, on a Sunday morning in bed. And it was intense. I'm not going to lie. It's certainly intense. And I was very grateful to read it, just being someone who has gone through similar things in my life. It was beautiful to read this. And I'm sharing it with you today because the thing that was so potent about the conversation, and also what I know from my own experience in doing similar things to heal and to transform, is that there was this level of freedom. There was this level of mojo, life force that was totally present in Eve, in a way, an ease and a grace. And I've been connected with her for, actually, in person for a little over a decade. And it's not, we're not best friends, but I have had the pleasure of being able to be connected to her in numerous ways. And it was so beautiful to see this ease and this grace. And And so I'm sharing it with you today to encourage and inspire you about a couple of things. Number one, if you have gone through any of these, traumas, if you've gone through sexual assault, rape, abuse, and you have not gotten the apology or the transformation that you would like to have from that experience, meaning a healing transformation from that experience, this is a beautiful way to be able to do it. Now, it's not, if you definitely need support, right? Whether it's with a psychologist, a counselor, a coach, certainly friends, close family members, right? Definitely have people around you that can support you through this process. But what an amazing thing to do for yourself, to give yourself the apology that you've always desired from someone else. Now, I can hear some of you thinking out there, yeah, but Deborah, it's not actually going to come from that person. But here's what I have to say. It is going to come from that person because you know that person really well. And the energy of what you're desiring is going to be the same energy. And there will be a level of freedom and there will be a level of mojo that's available to you after you do something like this. I share a technique and I talk to my clients all the time, the gals in my mentorship. And this has been in one of my online courses where I will talk about writing a letter to someone, right? So this would be like you writing a letter, like you personally writing a letter to, whether it was, a former spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a family member, and like getting out all the stuff that you've ever wanted to say that you've never said. You're not going to mail it to the person, but you are writing the letter so that you can get this toxicity, because the unexpressed emotion, feelings, sentiments, thoughts, those unexpressed pieces will, when they are pushed down and buried down, create shame, which create toxicity, which create health issues and create life issues. And so I encourage my clients to, at certain times when they're going through things, write this letter. Just write it with everything that you've got. Say everything you've ever wanted to say. Like really just barf it all out into this letter, and don't hold back. And then, when you're done, again, you're not sending it. It's not about that. You can rip it up, you can burn it, you can crumple it, you can, however you want to transform it, right? Because you go through the writing process of it, but then there's the offering it to a piece of transformation, which of course fire is incredibly transformative. And a powerful transforming agent. So I do recommend burning the letter. And there's this sense of freedom. I mean, there's no other word that I can think of. There's a sense of freedom. There's a sense of mojo that becomes available to you once you let that stuff out. And I was so happily reminded, and it was so wonderful to hear Eve talk about this process last night, and to see the level of freedom that is available in her energy, and she's an incredibly powerful woman and has done so much in her life. And now I'm just thinking, holy crap, what's going to be possible now that she's, now that this is out in the world. So if if you've got a situation where you still are holding on to, and look, we all got this, and there are different layers and different pieces of it. But if you have a situation that you find yourself, you are just not at peace with a person in your life, and whether alive or dead, I really encourage you, at the very least, write a letter from your perspective. Write a letter, from you, and saying everything you've ever wanted to say. This might take you an hour, if you really go for it and just like get it all out. And it could be shorter or it might be longer. And I really recommend that, just absolute unabashed, flow of consciousness, and do not stop writing. And I highly recommend you handwrite it out when you're writing the letter, right? If from your perspective to somebody. and get it all out and give that to yourself so that you're not walking around with this toxic sludge in you anymore. Because when you walk around with this, the toxic sludge, emotionally, psychologically, energetically, physically, spiritually, sexually, it does nobody any good. It certainly doesn't do you any good. And it definitely doesn't do your family, your community, your coworkers, your boss, your employees, your friends. It doesn't do anybody any good. Because it affects the way you're being. And if you've hung around me at all, you know that I always say, wherever you are, there you are. And it starts with you. So free yourself up. Get out whatever you need to get out. And I would love to hear if you are gonna take this on, like to at least write the letter from your perspective. You know, the apology piece, just read Eve's book. You know, you'll get a lot from it. But you know, either way, you writing the letter to somebody, or if you do decide to write the apology you've always wanted from somebody, I would love to hear about it. If it's, you know, feel free to comment, of course, below. And I know a lot of this can be very deep and personal, and you might want to share it publicly, but feel free to DM me. And I would love to hear how much lighter you experience yourself after you do this. All right, everybody. That's the Mojo moment for the day. This is your Mojo moment for the day. And again, for a reminder, especially if you're new here, welcome, by the way. For those of you who are newer, just know that Monday through Friday at the 1 p.m. Pacific hour, I will be on this page, the Mojo Recovery Specialist page, when this goes live. So you can always tune in and catch it live. And those of you catching it on the replay, go ahead and comment below, #replay, so I know who you are. And as always, I'm sending you so much love. And wherever you are, get out there and make sure you are rocking your mojo. All right. Bye for now.